Welcome in to Garbage Time Fantasy Football.
Not loud enough. Bring the heat.
Not loud enough. Welcome in to Garbage Time Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Ron Seymour, joined today by the one, the only, Joseph McCann.
There we go. Special Friday night show.
Oh, yeah. Friday night. We're continuing our divisional breakdowns. Today, me and Joe will be bringing you the AFC North. Ryan and JJ are probably not doing anything important, and they should be here, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not doing anything family related on a Friday night.
No, definitely not. They should totally be here. The fact that they're not, it is just ridiculous. Like, get your shit together, you know?
Ron, can we just brag and talk about the fact that the heckling fandom seems to be growing, and we want to thank everyone that's listening to the show lately. I've been seeing a lot more downloads lately. People seem to be responding a lot more to it, and I'm loving the fact that everything seems to be going on the way up.
Yes, and I love it. And if you are part of the heckling fandom, get your friends to be part of the heckling fandom. Tell them about the awesome content we are putting out. And we are also just trying to increase our quality and the things that we are doing also. So we're just going to get better. So grow with us, you know?
And we ask that you leave voicemails and comments and talk trash. Also leave reviews, because we love to respond to them, and we want this to be part of your show too.
Definitely.
So you don't just have to listen to us full time.
You can leave a voicemail at our website, www.garbagetimefantasyfootball.com. Obviously, you can find us wherever you can find podcasts.
That would be on Spotify, Google, Apple, iHeartRadio, like you said, basically anywhere.
Basically anywhere. All the big ones. Make sure you leave a 5-star review or a review. Hit us up on our Instagram at Garbage Time Fantasy Football. Leave us.
You can also listen to sample clips there too.
Sample. Yep. Joe's got that on lock. The audio is also on YouTube with some cool little filters. We're working on possibly putting our beautiful faces on YouTube. Just trying to figure out the best way we want to do it and make sure it's good for you guys.
And lastly, if you're listening to the show tomorrow too, and you need to put bets on MMA tomorrow for UFC 264, Ryan and Casey have a podcast out. It's Garbage Time Presents the MMA podcast on our website, garbagetimeff.com. Again, garbagetimeff.com. Click the right tab, and you can also listen to it on Spotify and anywhere else you listen to podcasts too. So give that a listen too.
You didn't say the name right though.
Give them the correct name then.
It's Garbage Time Presents the MMA podcast.
Oh, I forgot the.
Yeah, you gotta really get in there, you know, because it's an exciting podcast and they are potentially going to help people win money. So you got to give them that emphasis.
All right, now into the show. Ron, give me that news drop.
Oh no, Joe.
News updates.
Oh, I just needed to hear it.
So bad.
All right. Did you hear anything about Davante Adams potentially getting a new contract?
I mean, I just don't think he wants to be there if Aaron Rodgers isn't there.
It's just telling me they're doing everything to try to get their boy back, but I think he's going to make them sweat it out all the way until the start of the season. He's like, well, I don't know if I'm going to be the week one starter. I think he completely intends on doing it now, just the way he is, but he's definitely not going to let them know until it's almost time.
I suppose if they offer him enough money, he's going to be like, yeah, I'll stay. I don't care if Aaron Rodgers is here, but
yeah. So the rumor with Davante Adams was potentially $30 million a year, which is an insane number for a wide receiver. I mean, but he's totally worth it.
Yeah. But will he be worth it if Aaron Rodgers isn't there?
I mean, I guess we'll find out if they extend him to that.
I'm coming around to the fact that I think Aaron Rodgers is going to play this year.
Me too. And I still think it'll be with the Pack.
Yeah, I really, I'm come around. I've thought that's the way.
Originally, I was really kind of thinking maybe Denver, a bit of a troll, So we'll see.
It'd be cool if it was Denver. That would, those people would, their fantasy values would increase like crazy.
Yeah, I know. And we've covered that on many, many episodes already. So don't worry, we're not going to get into that again. Instead, let's talk about another contract that we do not think is going to get done, which is Allen Robinson, who was franchise tagged this year. But it is being reported that they are probably not going to reach an extension with him by the time the deadline is coming on the 15th.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. They better get one done. He's finally possibly got a good quarterback to play with for the first time in his career. And they're not going to pay him, and then he'll probably end up going somewhere like that doesn't have a good quarterback again.
Ron, you okay over there? You look like you have to burp or
I had to burp and
one of the two.
Definitely burp. I didn't want to belch right into the microphone, so I just kind of.
So you don't have double trouble going on over there? You don't need to run away to the bathroom and me to run solo for 10 minutes?
No, not right now. Maybe later. I mean, anything can happen.
Oh my God! All right,
I'll try not to do that to you.
Yeah, let's not do that. So, I also believe, like you said, JJ, I really like Justin Fields. I think he's going to be good. Don't know if he'll start in week 1, but he'll be starting very early in the season if you guys are losing games. So you're going to get to see him on the field this year. So you have that to look forward to.
I'm just not sure why the Bears wouldn't start him week 1, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, well, that's because they have a stubborn head coach who I think is going to go with the veteran because he thinks he's got a better chance to win with the veteran. But, I don't think you'll see what everybody else sees, which is Justin Fields is immensely talented and gives them the best chance to win. We'll see, though.
I completely agree.
JG's dynasty team kind of hinges on it, too, considering you took him in the second round. I mean, he's probably looking for production for him in the long term, but immediate production would be much better for him.
It would definitely help his team.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, for news too, Kansas City Chiefs are talking up McCole Hardman for the 3rd season in a row as their breakout player. He's wide receiver number 2 there. Sammy Watkins is gone. So, I mean, we'll see.
You got to love all the hype train news coming out of camp.
Yeah, because hype train never doesn't stay in the station when the season actually starts.
Right. Yeah. Like you said, this is the 3rd year in a row they've talked up McCole Hardman, and he hasn't really done anything. I will say, though, that Sammy Watkins is gone now. That could increase how much he's on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And
I will say, last year, the rookie receivers being productive right out of the gate typically isn't what happens. It does take a little bit longer for wide receivers to produce on the field. So maybe he will. We'll see.
Definitely in the right offense. If he can't do it in this offense, then he's just not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, no, he ain't going to do it anywhere else.
Andy Reid's going to be able to get the most out of his players.
But that's not according to Le'Veon Bell, who says Andy Reid is supposedly a bad coach. Says the running back that's currently out of the league.
Stop it.
All right. Are you ready to get into the AFC North breakdown?
Let's get into the AFC North breakdown. We'll start it out with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You're going to really make me flip over my notes? Fine. I will.
Well, see here. One of us wrote everything down on a piece of paper. The other one has a nice little spreadsheet.
So that's funny. I write down all my stuff on paper and still had a better league record than you last year. So.
Oh my goodness. One year.
Scribe it on a computer. Scribe it on a computer. Scribe it on a piece of paper. Doesn't matter. Same result.
Are you done?
Go ahead.
Okay. So for the Steelers, we've got, Big Ben is still their quarterback. They won the division with him last year, but that was mostly their defense, I believe. For their running back, they've got the rookie Najee Harris. Wide receivers, Juju, Deontay Johnson, and Chase Claypool. Tight ends, Eric Ebron, and the rookie Pat Freiermuth.
That's all they got?
Well, I mean, those are the top people at the positions.
They've got backup running backs that don't really matter because, believe me, Najee Harris is going to be the bell cow this year.
They got a backup quarterback in Dwayne Haskins. I mean, which this is difficult to say, but might almost be an improvement on their backup QB situation from years prior.
That's how. Yeah, but that's because Big Ben has been neurotic and doesn't want a talented quarterback behind him. That's why they give him average quarterbacks behind him.
Oh man.
Oh, that ego.
All right. So what do you got Big Ben throwing for this year?
I've got Big Ben this year. You know, he's a little bit older. I actually have him in our Dynasty League, but I drafted him very late because I took a lot of young rookies that are not going to produce this year probably. I got him at 4,200 yards this year, 36 touchdowns, 11 picks, a generally average year for him.
I will say this. In most cases, our stats are very close.
And I don't even see yours before.
I have him at 42,084 yards. 4,284 yards. I only got 5 hours of sleep today.
Only 5?
38 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. So I had 2 more touchdowns and a few less interceptions, but other than that, we're right on.
This is going to be a boring as ass episode if we're just going back and forth.
I'm sure there's something somewhere. There's got to be.
So what do you think that'll do for fantasy owners if he actually puts up these numbers? Do you think he's nothing more than a backup quarterback this year?
Yeah, you have him. He might be a good super flex option for you and he could be a good streamer. You know what I mean? He's still Big Ben. He's older. Who knows how his elbow, maybe one more year after his injury, maybe it's gotten better, which is not generally what happens when you get older. It generally takes longer, not fast,
Mm-hmm.
So he could come out and throw more, but I think they drafted Najee for a reason. I think they want to pound the ball and play defense.
It's a real problem when you don't add your offensive line, huh?
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, I think they want to pound the ball. I gave Najee Harris 310 rushing attempts this year.
Yeah, that sounds generally in the ball area where he's going to get.
Yeah, I think he definitely has over 300 rushing attempts. I got him for 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. Are we aligned again?
Well, I've got Najee Harris at 1,270 yards, 9 touchdowns, 300 yards receiving, and 2 receiving touchdowns.
Oh, I got him for almost 700 yards receiving.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think he's coming off the field. And Big Ben is, the second half of the year when they started not playing as well, I think Big Ben's arm gave out and he started dinking and dunking it way more. And I think Najee Harris is a really good pass catcher. That's one of his things coming out of college, even though he's a very large running back.
Yep.
He is a very good pass catcher. And I think they're going to use him. I think Big Ben is going to end up targeting him a lot. I've got him for 69 catches, 685 yards, and 6 touchdowns receiving.
I guess we slightly disagree here too, because I think they're going to want to reserve him a little bit for the future. So I do think he's going to be the bell cow, but I think he will come out the field on third down a lot. One, because the offensive line, like we said, is absolute shit. There's no doubt about that. One, they also have a lot of, I already said one. And 2, they have a lot of other targets here, I think, that can take the dink and dunk passes. They drafted a tight end, Pat Freiermuth, who's going to be a security blanket with Eric Ebron for those short passes. And they've got 3 fantastic wide receivers who can take those short and intermediate passes. So I don't think they'd really need to throw it to the running back all that often.
My thing with Najee is, you said they were going to want to save him. He won't get a big second contract with this team. He came out of college old.
Yeah.
He's older than some of the people that are, like Clyde Edwards-Helaire is younger than Najee Harris.
It's telling you something.
So as a rookie, he's older than rookies from last year.
And has less tread too, because they used him a lot at Alabama.
Right. That's what I mean. So I wouldn't be surprised if in 3-4 years, Najee already takes a decline. So I bet the Steelers are just going to be like, we're just going to, and I believe over the next 3-4 years, they're going to use him a lot. Mm-hmm. So it's just going to wear out his body. And
He's built like an animal. I disagree with that. I don't think you'll see a decline after 3 or 4 years. You just won't see him on a second contract with Pittsburgh. He'll be somewhere else. But that's neither here nor there, and that's for dynasty way down the line. So we're not concerned with that right now.
But yeah, this year I think I bring him out here and just showcase.
Yeah, well, they're definitely bringing their stallion out for this season. They don't have much else to do.
All right, let's get into these wide receivers. Juju, Deontay, and Chase Claypool. Who do you think is the number one wide receiver?
It's going to be Deontay.
I agree.
Shit, this is going to be a boring episode.
But
it's not by much. It's not by much. I've got him at 1,050 yards.
I got him for just under 1,200.
So there's a little bit of a difference then. I see these wide receivers being pretty even this season. I've got him at 1,050 yards and 8 touchdowns. I think he's going to catch a lot. So you see him as a little bit of an improvement than I do.
Yeah, well, I just feel like Deontay Johnson is the guy. He was the one that was most targeted by Big Ben last year. And Big Ben has been a quarterback that when he gets a player he likes, he kind of hyper targets that player.
Mm-hmm.
And if Deontay Johnson can fix his dropped issues and stay on the field, I've got him for 119 catches, because I think he'll probably be, short intermediate routes. I think that's what they're going to try to go with a lot this year. Chase Claypool, I would like to say he could think, but he's the boom bust. I feel like he's going to be the boom bust, and then Juju's just an auxiliary piece
in the slot.
Yeah.
I've got Chase Claypool's boom bust being pretty good this year. I've actually got him at 1,000 yards.
Yeah, I do not.
Where do you got Chase Claypool at?
Just under 800.
Yeah, so I guess there is a little bit of a difference on how we see they're going to use this offense. So I've got Claypool at 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns, actually. So I think he's going to have more touchdowns than Deontay Johnson.
I got Claypool at 7 receiving touchdowns, but I also got Claypool running the ball 50 times for 175 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Which in PPR leagues would be fantastic for his value.
Yeah, like they like using him around the goal line.
Mm-hmm.
Like they did it quite a few times last year. I mean, the dude is big. He's athletic. They're going to want to do those end arounds and stuff with him. And if Najee comes out and does what I think he can do, they're going to have to stock the box a little bit more. So those end arounds and jet sweeps and stuff will be really effective.
Yeah, I think he'll take more of a role doing that this year too, because they're going to have to get creative, because Najee is going to be the main focus of most teams' offenses. They're going to stack the box, so they're going to have to get creative. So Chase Claypool could get these targets in that variety that you're talking about. They'll use him creatively, and it may impact your fantasy team positively. And as for Juju too, I've got him actually doing a little bit less, but he's still going to have a very good season. I've got him at 900 yards and also 8 touchdowns. So I think he's going to have a pretty decent year too. I see all 3 of these wide receivers having a pretty decent year with the added game. They're all going to have successful years. So, 9 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns. It's going to be a very even offense, I think.
Yeah. I think our main discrepancy here is I got Najee more involved in the passing game than you do, which is causing the wide receivers numbers to be a little bit lower.
Right.
Plus I had Deontay doing a little bit better than you. So, but we're not far off in anything really.
No. How do you feel about the tight ends?
I don't feel about the tight ends. I don't think either one of them will really be fantasy relevant.
I think between the 2 of them, I could see 600 yards and 7 touchdowns, but I think it's going to be very split. So maybe both of them having 300 to 400 yards.
Between the 2 of them, I got 700 yards and 4 touchdowns.
So that's funny. So you have more yards, less touchdowns. I've got less yards, more touchdowns because of Ben's shitty arm.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that turns out. But I think we kind of both see this offense heading in the same direction. Just a little bit of a disagreement on who's going to be getting the passing targets, whether that's running back or more to the wide receivers.
And the thing is, right now with these wide receivers, you can get almost all of them at a value in drafts. None of them are really, because there's 3 of them, nobody really knows who's going to do it.
Right.
So that has tanked their average draft position, which could be a really good value if you hit on the right one.
Exactly. So
All right,
there's definitely some fantasy value on this Steelers roster, but it's more towards the mid round of your draft. Besides Najee Harris, there's not really any early round targets for you.
Right. All right, so we'll move on to, I got the Baltimore Ravens next on my list.
Lamar Jackson's biggest fan.
It's hard not to be a fan of Lamar Jackson for fantasy. I mean, yes, the beginning of last year was rough, but I feel like they turned it around. I think this year they've surrounded him with better weapons than what he had last year. They brought in Rashad Bateman. Sammy Watkins can't really stay healthy, hasn't really been super relevant, but maybe. Marquise Brown, Marquise Brown, another year in the offense. You know, he was a rookie last year.
No, year before, I think. Last year was the second year. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is going into the third year, I believe.
All right. Still another year in the offense. Like, he's got that big play, take a slant and go 80 yards potential.
Yep.
And J.K. Dobbins, you know, I mean, this running game is just going to be nasty.
All right. Question for you.
Yep.
You going to keep Lamar Jackson in our league?
In our auction league?
Yeah.
I haven't.
I thought you did last year.
I don't think I do.
Who does have him then?
I don't know. I don't think it's me.
I swear to God, you had him.
Maybe I did. It depends on how much I paid for him. I wouldn't keep him for anything more than $5. All
right, we'll get off this selfish topic. What do you have Lamar Jackson at next year stated as?
So obviously with Lamar Jackson, the passing volume isn't going to be his bread and butter.
Someone's small ass pie.
Yeah. So I've only got him throwing for 3,241 yards. I think the efficiency comes up. I do think the efficiency comes up in the touchdown rating though. And I got him for 30 touchdowns, which I believe is a little bit higher than what he did last year. But I also got him running for 1,085 yards and 8 touchdowns there.
Sounds about right.
You laughed.
I laughed because it's all a similar damn ballpark for the AFC North. So I've got Lamar Jackson at 2,900 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and he's going to rush for 1,100 yards and score 16 touchdowns.
16?
16.
That is a lot of rushing touchdowns.
It is, but there's also an added game this year. And how many did he score last year?
7.
He's going to use his legs more.
He's never been over 10 in his first 3 years.
He might break the rushing touchdown record for QBs this year.
That is a lot. I disagree with your statement on he's rushing. Like the yardage, fine. I can see the yardage. 16 rushing touchdowns.
It's highly likely.
He will be the QB1 if he rushes for 16 rushing touchdowns. Like he will finish as you should go 101. If he's rushing for 16 rushing touchdowns, you draft him 101.
He's a running back, man, and there's running backs that listen, hold on. There's decent running backs who get 13 in a regular 16-game season, right?
Yeah, right? But
he's a decent red zone target. They have one less running back this year. He may be piling in it a lot. I'm not saying that's like his top end line. I really think it's possible for him to rush that many. You would love that.
I would love it. I love watching Lamar Jackson run. It's freaking amazing.
We'll call it my bold take.
That is definitely a bold. We're not like that is fire all around. Like that is on fire and in a fire somehow. It is fireception.
They got a good offensive line.
Oh wow, I don't even know how to move on from this. All right, we'll move on to the actual running backs on the team. J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, like you said, they're down 1. There was rumblings about them bringing in Todd Gurley.
Not going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I think they brought him in as an emergency in case one of them go down.
Right. So I got Dobbins. I am excited about his rushing ability. I got him for 250 attempts, a little over 1,200 yards and 13 touchdowns. But I think where he loses some of his fantasy value is he's not going to be involved in the passing game that often.
Bullshit.
And with and with this passing game being already so low, like what he is involved isn't going to be much.
Well, from a previous episode, you already know I'm very high on J.K. Dobbins this season. So the numbers I got him at, he's going to be the second highest rusher in the AFC this year, and I've got him at 1,350 yards, 12 touchdowns, and I think he's going to have 4 receiving touchdowns too.
I've got him for 3 receiving touchdowns. How many receiving yards you got him for, though, and catches?
Didn't really set him out at that because I don't think it's going to be a lot of receiving yards. I just think he's going to be more of a red zone target there. So not a lot.
See, I've got him for 25 catches and on 200 yards on the season.
That's potential, but I think they're going to get him like a lot of red zone third down work.
Right. I don't have Gus Edwards doing much of the passing game either. I do got him rushing for 135 attempts, 594 yards, and 6 touchdowns. I think it's funny that you're the one that's high on J.K. Dobbins, but I had Dobbins with more rushing touchdowns than you did.
Yeah. Well, maybe he's going to have a really
well, I mean, when Lamar Jackson is, scoring 16 rushing touchdowns, how could anybody else get any?
We'll see, I guess. Just something in my gut tells me it's going to be a lot of him running in. He's just so lanky, and I could see him doing something insane like that. It's very bold, but add the extra game.
It's not outside the realm of possibility. Because what you're saying is he's going to get 1 rushing touchdown a game.
Right. Which is very possible for him to do.
Which is possible, but like you hear the number and it's just like, how many rushing touchdowns did Cam Newton have last year?
11 maybe? I don't know. Off the top of my head.
Because like people were talking about that being a lot for a quarterback. And it's like, I can't get over it.
I've got Gus Edwards at 700 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 receiving touchdowns. So I think they're going to very heavily rely on those 3, even with the wide receivers they brought in.
All right, so let's move on to the wide receivers.
You can't even get over it.
I can't.
All right, let's get on to the receivers then.
Who do you think is going to be the number 1 wide receiver in this team?
I think it'll still be Marquise Brown. I think Rashad Bateman's going to kind of go through a little bit of hiccups as a rookie. He'll have an okay year. I've got Marquise Brown at 700 yards and 5 touchdowns. Rashad Bateman, 650 yards, 5 touchdowns.
I got it flipped.
You really think the rookie's going to have a little bit of a better
I think Lamar Jackson's going to like the rookie. I think Marquise Brown is going to be more the, have those big games for you, like win you the weeks. I think Rashad Bateman will be the more steady, because they brought him in because he's sure-handed.
Right.
That's why they brought him in, because he's a possession receiver. And they want to give that guy, or they want to give Lamar Jackson another guy that's kind of in the mold of Mark Andrews, where you throw him the ball, he catches the ball. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I got Bateman finishing the year, and as a rookie, it's a really good year, 842 yards on 75 catches with 7 touchdowns. I got Marquise Brown at 50 catches for 650 yards and 5 touchdowns.
It's funny that we got pretty much the same yards. These 2 guys are just flipped. I think, dude, it pisses me off. I think Rashad Bateman's talent, though, is going to get wasted here just because of the lack of passing work he's going to get.
Yeah.
It's just not
if he went to the Packers and Aaron Rodgers was still there,
shit.
Think like Jordy Nelson or Randall Cobb. You know what I mean? That's all I could think. I got Sammy Watkins for like 300 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Jeez, you were nicer. I'm a little bit nicer than you were here. I've got him for 350 and 2 touchdowns.
I just don't believe he's going to stay on the field.
I don't think he's fantasy relevant anymore.
He's not.
If you can't be fantasy relevant with the Chiefs, you're not going to do it in Baltimore.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like we were just talking about McCole Hardman. Like,
yeah, no shit.
Yeah. All right. And here's probably one of the better offensive position players on the team, Mark Andrews.
Their best offensive weapon, I think, outside of J.K. Dobbins.
Outside of Lamar Jackson, really.
Well, I'm talking about non-quarterback players, non-running back
Uh,
slash quarterbacks.
I got Mark Andrews at 109 targets, 79 receptions, 907 yards, and 7 touchdowns.
Because I think they're going to use the running game so much more this season, as you can see with the 16 touchdowns. I've got Mark Andrews at 800 yards and 8 touchdowns.
You said that like you were going to greatly disagree with me, but you had one more touchdown and only 100 less yards.
I told you the AFC North is pretty vanilla here. I think besides my huge predictions with
It's
Dobinson,
vanilla, but
Lamar
there is
Jackson,
there's a lot of fantasy relevant players that come out of it, which is weird.
they are, but you kind of know what you're getting with them.
Right. Yeah.
There's no dark horses here.
There hasn't been much for like that big change, really.
I mean, if you get 16 touchdowns, you're going to shit your pants, but
if I knew your stats were going to be right on him, I'd be drafting him fucking everywhere. Everywhere.
I don't know.
Like, I still wouldn't mind having Lamar Jackson on my team, but like in that scenario, crazy.
Maybe I'm being a little bit too bold. Maybe it's more like 14, but we'll go with 16. I'll go a little bit bold because we got to be a little bit more bold.
I almost put him at 11, and I'm like, that seems like a lot. Then you come out with 16. I'm like, jeez.
What is the record for rushing quarterbacks touchdowns? It's got Lamar Jackson's got to have it. Right?
Hold on, we're gonna find this out right on air.
Him and Vic.
What is the record for rushing touchdowns by a quarterback?
Cam Newton has the most rushing touchdowns of any quarterback in NFL history, and he's still adding to his total.
I want per season.
In week 17 of the 2020 season, Newton has run for 70 touchdowns.
Hold on, one more time.
That does
what
not
is
help.
the season rushing touchdown record for QB? Did I say that right? God, it's the same one.
The most rushing.
You are not gonna get it.
It was not Google, you crazy bastard.
It's all right. You can Google it while we're talking, I guess.
Yeah. Do you want?
Yes, as you can see, we're experts. We just Google everything.
Experts. I Google everything. Yeah.
Yeah, we can move on to your next team.
It is the Browns. If you want to start talking about Mayfield.
Oh, all right. So I think Mayfield's going to have a very similar season to what he had last year. But you're going to see second half of the year, Baker Mayfield. So I've got him at 4,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. So I think he's going to get those interceptions under control. He's going to continue on the path he's on, and this is going to be a very balanced, well-run Browns team this year.
Yeah, I think it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the same as last year. Okay, so the rushing touchdown record for a quarterback is Cam Newton. 13 touchdowns.
So he would break the record by 3, but add an extra game, it's possible. It's not insane.
It's such a large number.
I can see it now. I'm going to get the random Christian voicemail. Joe, your take was absolute trash.
Your take on Lamar Jackson is trash. I love it. My favorite. Yeah, so Baker Mayfield, I'm sure you already said this, but I wasn't actually listening. What was the yardage and everything?
4,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. I swear to God. Really? Again?
4,100 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions.
I swear to God, we don't call each other before and tell each other what we're wearing before the show.
Oh my goodness, this is ridiculous.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
no,
if
we need
did,
Ryan
we
and
probably
JJ
would have had
back with some more parody.
I know.
This is some bullshit. I'm sorry to our heckling fandom.
Yeah, there's not a lot of, garbage time happening right now. We're just kind of in line. Where's all the arguing?
Fucking A.
We got to get there at some point. All right, what do you got for the running backs? Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt.
Maybe we'll have a little bit of parody here. Some of my coworkers said I was a little bit low on Nick Chubb. I've got Nick Chubb at 1,120 yards on 205 attempts, 9 touchdowns, and he's going to have 18 receptions this year.
Yeah, you're definitely lower than me. Not so much yardage. I don't know how. I have him for almost 100. How many rushing attempts did you have him for?
205.
Hold on, I want to do some math real quick. So how many yards?
1,120. 205 attempts. Let's see if I can't math.
Is that 5.4 yards per carry?
Mhm.
You've got him rushing for 5.4 yards per carry.
Maybe I just got math off, but that's the yardage I've got him at.
Because I thought I was, I'm pretty high on Nick Chubb. I think he's a great running back. I got him for 301 carries at just under 1,400 yards.
I think my attempts would need to go up then. Like I said, I didn't math right, I don't think. But I do think that'll be the yardage.
Now I've got him, I've got him at like 4.6 yards per carry, which is a really good season.
I don't know what I did there. But all right, we'll go with your take, Kay.
I got him for 15 touchdowns rushing.
Jesus. Wow.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a monster year. That's why I was happy when he came back to me in our dynasty in round 2 and he was still sitting there. I'm like, whoop, pulling that trigger.
Right.
I have also got him for 17 receptions, 206 yards, and only 1 receiving touchdown.
Okay. So we'll just ignore my number of attempts because obviously I couldn't figure that out in my head.
5.5 yards per carry.
Oh, yeah. So I'm a little bit less on him here because I think Kareem Hunt's going to have a pretty decent year again because there's no way they're not going to use him. The formula was working perfect for them early in the season. I mean, Chubb was fantastic, but they're going to let Kareem Hunt get his too because he's a great running back too. So I've got Hunt at 800 yards. I've also got him 400 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns total. I think he's going to have a good year again.
So I guess this will be my kind of hot take. I've also got Kareem Hunt over 1,000 yards rushing.
Wow. Shit.
Just over. It's 1,012. But
with the extra game, it's possible.
Right. And I got him for 230 carries, which I believe I gave him a similar 4.5, 4.6 yards per average. This offensive line, they've done nothing but get better.
Right.
You know what I mean? Kevin Stefanski just wants to run the ball. You know what I mean? Baker Mayfield played better when they were able to running it and get the play action going. Then I also got Kareem Hunt for 40 receptions, 450 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I really think the running backs of this team are the way you want to go for fantasy.
Yeah. Like I said, I like both of these guys. I think if Nick Chubb was the only running back in this backfield, I mean, he'd be right up there for the number 1 rusher on the AFC side. He's immensely talented, but man, Kareem Hunt is too, and he could be right up there too if he was on his own team. They're just both fantastic running backs, and it's a fun tandem to watch, and it's good for the Browns for their potential to get to the playoffs again this year and challenge the Chiefs, which will be very hard. But
I'm gonna say this right now. I think the Browns challenge to win this division. I think it's between the Browns and Ravens.
I think they will win this division.
Yeah. I think it's between the Browns and Ravens. I think I would give the Browns a slight edge, but I think on a bolder take, I think the Steelers might finish in last.
I don't know about that.
It's hard because of their defense.
I don't know. That Bengals offensive line is pretty bad.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said it's hard. Like it's like between the top place and the last place, it's like razor thin. Like Ravens or Browns, either one could win the division, and then Steelers and Bengals, either one could lose the division. Like
I think the Steelers are more talented. And just the Bengals aren't physical enough to beat the Steelers yet. I don't think they're heading in the right direction. They've got the right kind of players, but they need to build in the trenches, which they seem to neglect every year. And I don't understand why, because, you kind of have to protect your franchise quarterback.
Right.
Yeah, dude, the more I think about the Lamar Jackson take, like the more I want to backtrack on it, but I can't. I predicted 3 quarterbacks were going to get over 1,000 yards, but now I'm sitting there. I'm like, what is he, Josh Allen? He's just going to get on the red zone and just like plow it in every time. Like,
and he's never really been that guy.
Yeah, I don't
His
know.
touchdowns always come from like over 20 yards out, and he just made everyone look stupid and just runs it in for a touchdown.
Shit, man. I might have been drinking the Kool-Aid when I did those stats. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I might come back with a different take on our next
I
episode.
thought you were going to be like really high on Kareem Hunt, and I was going to ask you if it was kind of biased from last year
But I'm
because
not.
you had him on your team. No, actually, I have him projected for higher than.
Maybe I was smoking something during the Lamar Jackson take. I'm backtracking in my head. I'm like, that is so many for such a tall, lanky quarterback. I don't know.
All right, let's.
We'll see. I'll give you a new prediction on the next episode. I'll do a little.
All right, cool. No, we're sticking to this one. Like you're locked in, buddy. You wait till next year when he doesn't rush for 16. But if he rushes for 16, I'm bowing to you. I'm going to ask you your secrets, what exactly you were smoking.
Oh man.
All right, let's move on to the wide receivers. The top 3 on the depth chart were Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, and Rashard Higgins. Who do you think is the top wide receiver?
It'll be Odell, but he's going to fall into line a little bit because if he doesn't, they're going to kick his ass out of town because they saw they could be productive without him last year. He's still going to have a good year. He's still going to be Odell, but it's going to be just a slightly more teammate like Odell. He'll have 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns.
I don't have a single wide receiver over 1,000 yards on this team.
Fantastic.
I got Jarvis Landry as the closest at 992.
Mm-hmm.
Odell at 868. And then Rashard Higgins, I got at 578.
Mm-hmm.
Odell's biggest thing with me is I don't like projecting injury, but I also won't overlook it. And with Odell, over the past, 4 or 5, actually his entire career, he has proven to me that he is just glass. Dude does not stay healthy. There's no way he's playing all 17 games. I can't see it.
I think he could still hit 1,100 yards not playing every single game, but I don't think he's going to go down with a season ending. You got to remember too, they have a lot of younger receivers that they'll probably get in and out, so they'll get Odell out on some plays. So 1,100 yards, I don't think is out of the realm of possibilities here. So I'm being optimistic about his upside, but I'm not believing he's the Odell of old where he's going to get 1,500 yards. It's just it's past that. He's not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
To round out this wide receiver core too, which is where you were going to go before I rudely interrupted you, about Jarvis Landry at 700 yards, 5 touchdowns. And I think between Rashad Higgins and Donovan Peoples-Jones, they'll have 1,000 yards between the two of them and 5 touchdowns. But how the hell they divide that up, I've got no idea.
Right. A dark horse or maybe someone to keep an eye on during preseason. They drafted that, what's his name? Anthony Schwartz. And I've heard a lot of people, he's a really speedy wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if maybe towards the second half of the year, if there is an injury to one of these other guys, or maybe even just they're passing.
If they trade Odell.
Or if they trade Odell, or if, he might just be able to pass like Rashard Higgins and some of these other, 3rd and 4th wide receivers on the depth chart. He might be someone to look into. Could potentially have not a good year this year, but might be someone to keep your eye on just for next year, I suppose.
We'll see.
So the tight ends, Austin Hooper and David Njoku. I'm pretty sure last year I thought that the Austin Hooper signing wasn't going to mean much. I thought David Njoku was going to be more of the guy, but I was wrong on that. They used Hooper and they didn't really use Njoku. I'm pretty sure Njoku got injured, wasn't there all year, but even when he was, they didn't use him as much.
Yeah, I think they're going to heavily neglect the tight end position, though. I don't think Hooper's going to have that good of a year either.
I got him for 100 targets.
I don't have him for 100 targets.
100 targets, 72 yards, 72 receptions, 785 yards, and 6 touchdowns.
I've got him at 500 yards, 5 touchdowns. So I think he'll get his touchdowns, but
Yeah.
I think he's not going to be utilized correctly.
All right. Anybody else on the Cleveland Browns we need to discuss?
I mean, Njoku, if you think he's going to have a good year again, but
I
you
don't.
just said. Moving on.
And the last team in this division is the Cincinnati Bengals.
Whew, here we go.
I'm pretty sure there's probably going to be a disparity here right at the top with Joe Burrow.
You sure?
So I'll let you go first.
So I see him having a kind of Matt Stafford-like year. I think he'll be okay. I've got him at 4,700 yards, 32 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and a rushing touchdown.
Okay, maybe not then. I got him for 4,500 yards, 26 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and 2 rushing touchdowns.
See, I've got the touchdowns and interceptions ticked up a little bit because I think their defense is going to be absolute shit. So I think they're going to be playing from behind. So that's why I've got him having similar to Matt Stafford numbers.
I've got him throwing for 663 attempts.
Holy shit. But not completely out of the realm of possibility either. If that offensive line is bad and his defense is bad.
That's actually less than what they were on pace for when he was starting the 10 games last year.
Isn't that crazy?
It's actually less.
He's going to have to carry that team.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard lying down in the grass, though.
I can almost guarantee we will have discrepancy with this next person.
You mean Joe Mixon?
I do mean Joe Mixon.
What do you got?
You kind of want to hear yours first?
I've got him at 970 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 3 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, I've got him for almost 1,300 yards. 11 touchdowns and 3 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, so I kind of have him having a bit of a disappointing season because the Bengals, like I said, have a very bad offensive line. They're going to abandon the run early. There's potential for him to get hurt, so I statted him quite a bit lower than you'd have, and I think drafting him is just a mistake this year. I don't like him, and I think he's just going to be disappointing.
And the thing is,
you're drafting him at.
I only have him for 4.2 yards per carry, but I have him having 308 attempts.
Man,
the Bengals,
he does that. He's going to get hurt with that offensive line.
The Bengals ran so many plays last year. Their defense really hasn't improved, so they're going to allow people to score a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think their offense is good enough that they'll be able to stay in games enough to be not one-dimensional.
I think they're going to be forced to be one-dimensional, and they're going to have a very similar offense to the Chargers of old, which is they fall behind quite a bit, and then Phillip Rivers would kind of hunt them back into the games by passing a shitload. That's why I've got him at 4,700.
But also, I got Joe Mixon at 50 receptions for just under 500 yards. Because they don't really have anybody else on this team behind Joe Mixon.
No, because Bernard's gone.
Right. They got rid of Gio Bernard. They've come out and they said they want Joe Mixon to be their 3-down guy. I just think the volume is going to be there. It's going to propel him to have a really good fantasy year.
No,
and also, my dynasty team would love that.
I think he's going to suck ass, but we'll see.
So, wait, what do you feel about their offense? Do you think they're going to have a good offense?
I think they're going to have a good passing game. I just think they're going to have a very bad rushing game because you're going to stack the box because they're going to be after Joe Burrow. They have a terrible offensive line. So he's going to have to play from the shotgun, and they're going to be passing a ton. Like I told you, it's going to add up to disaster where he's going to have a bad first half, and then he's just going to be absolute garbage time in the second.
They're not going to be able to stack the box against him, though.
With pass rushers, yes, they will.
Well, that's not stacking the box. Stacking the box is having like the linebackers in it, but they're not going to be able to do that because they're going to have three wide.
It doesn't matter. They're not going to have to cover the corners because he's going to be flat on his back this year. You're going to send pass rushers.
Your stats feel like that you're very high on their offense, but like your
We haven't
words are saying
we haven't gotten to the receivers. You'll see.
right. But my thing is, like, you already said he was going to throw for 4,700 yards and
Yes.
32 touchdowns.
Yes.
But like your words don't mimic that.
The receivers are going to have a good year because they're perfect garbage time wide
Right.
receivers.
And that's my point, though. If the receivers are having good years,
Mm-hmm.
then they're not. People aren't going to stack the box if the receivers are having these good years. They're going to have to drop people into coverage to make sure these receivers aren't blowing the doors off of them.
No, that's a bunch of bullshit because they're going to fall back early in these games because they're going to try to establish a run because they're going to want to. And they're going to do this for a lot of the season. Then they're going to come out in the second half and realize, oh shit, we're down by 14 and we're going to have to pass because he's been on his back the whole game. So no, the receivers will have very good season, but that's going to be because of the second half of the games, not because of the first half of the games. You're going to see the pattern of that this year.
All right, go with the receivers.
All right, so I've got Jamar Chase at 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns as a rookie.
I've got him for 850 and 4.
So I'm obviously higher there. I've got Tyler Boyd, 900 yards, 5 touchdowns.
811 and 4.
T. Higgins, 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns.
905.
Drew Sample, 450 yards, 3 touchdowns.
402.
So I'm higher on the wide receivers.
Yeah, I think they all take away from each other. And not only that, back to Joe Mixon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he's really getting pressured all this much, then he's going to end up. You can't just, expect me to stop talking. Like, I want to make my point.
Then do it.
If Joe Burrow is under this much duress, and I know their offensive line is not the best, they are getting a first round pick from last year back. That can help it a little bit. But if he's under this much duress, he's just going to dump it off to Joe Mixon.
Who's going to get dropped behind the line?
Dumps it off behind the line.
That's what's going to happen, buddy.
Didn't you just say he was going to have like a Phillip Rivers type year? Isn't that what you just said?
Passing the ball. Phillip Rivers didn't pass it to his running back, so he passed it to his receivers and tight end.
Do you not remember Austin Eckler from 2 years ago?
Rivers played for like 15 years, dude. He didn't have Eckler for 15 years.
Yeah, but Melvin Gordon was always good because of the passing down
God.
work.
No, you're right. He did pass to it, but it's just a microcosm example, and Mixon's not going to get the passing work for it. It's going to go to his receivers because they're going to be in shotgun, so he's not going to throw screens to Mixon. Mixon's going to have a
I'm
disappointment.
not talking about screens. I'm talking about like dump offs, like 5 yards down the field,
Not going to
3
work.
yards down the field.
It's going to sputter.
Oh my goodness.
He's my Julio for this
I
year.
guess I just don't understand how you could say that Joe Burrow is going to have like -3 seconds to throw a ball, and yet these receivers are going to be so good by getting down the field. If he doesn't have time to throw the ball, the receivers are never going to get open.
Listen, okay. He's going to start the first halves under center. Like
Right.
they want to run a professional offense. This is how Detroit would start their games, correct? Under center. Then the running game doesn't start working. You start going down to the scoring. So you come out in the second half in the shotgun.
Yeah, but Joe,
he's going to have a few more seconds to pass. So guess what? He's not going to be getting sacked as much in the second half.
but Joe Mixon is a lot better of a running back than anyone the Lions have ever had outside of Barry Sanders.
Doesn't matter if you're getting flanked on every side. You're not going to be a good running back if you don't have a good offensive line.
So my stats are projected from what Joe Mixon was doing last year when he was on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And, the fact that there's no one else there. There's Samaje Perine, and they drafted that Chris Evans. And I know his name is Chris Evans, but he's not Captain America. Like,
But there was also a reason why they brought Giovanni Bernard in on passing downs. It's not Mixon's forte.
Because they had Giovanni Bernard.
Mm-hmm.
Now they don't have anybody.
If
So
Mixon was a better
Mixon's-
passing running back, they would have had him on the field. I understand Giovanni Bernard was a good
I'm not saying he is a better pick. I'm saying he's better than anybody else on the team at the moment.
correct, but it doesn't mean he's going to be successful in that role, and I'm predicting he's not going to be.
But the receivers are going
Here's
to
your garbage time. We were waiting for it. We found it.
I knew it was going to be this. You just like you're bashing the offensive line, and like I understand the garbage time, like end of the game production, but you're talking about him having like no time to throw the ball, even out of the shotgun.
Okay. I'll give you another example. It doesn't have to be the Lions, okay? We'll take Pittsburgh from last year, okay? How fucking horrible was their running game last year? Terrible, right? Were their wide receivers playing successful in trash time? Yes.
Yeah, but their wide receivers
That'll be your
are playing-
microcosm then. Take that as an example. So Nixon doesn't have to have a
Again,
successful year. For
when
that wide
James
receiver
Conner was
also-
on the field, James Conner was having good games.
Not in the second half of the season.
He was injured. He got injured. He didn't play. Of
Which
course,
I'm also-
Benny
which
Snell
I'm-
didn't.
Which I'm also accounting for Joe Mixon. He's going to get pounded this year. Oh, God.
Maybe.
Not maybe. He's going to get hurt. He's going to be limping around in games. He's not going to be 100%. This is going to be a disaster for him.
But Joe Burrow could just as easily get hurt if you're talking about him getting sacked 80 times in the first half.
I'm being optimistic for him at least.
Why are you optimistic for the guy who literally got injured last year? Like his knee straight destroyed, who's not going to be 100% even come week one. Probably won't be 100% until halfway through the year.
Because they're going to rely on Mixon, and Mixon's going to get hurt. It's
like a chicken and egg scenario.
You're going to sacrifice him to the NFL gods instead of your quarterback.
So what you're saying, okay, here's the fantasy advice for you, Heckling Fandom. Draft Joe Mixon. Because your first 5-6 weeks are just going to be straight quantity. And he's just going to have great games because that's all they're going to do.
He's going to disappoint
But
you.
then trade him away because in a couple weeks, he's just going to get injured.
Sure.
I
Oh, let's get
remember
to these
that.
wide receivers. That was a lot of time on Joe Mixon.
Well, we kind of went to the wide receivers and then it circled back.
Joe Mixon.
At least I
Shit.
don't have him for 16 rushing touchdowns.
No, that's Lamar Jackson.
I'm not going to let that go.
Anyway, what do you got Tyler Boyd at?
I don't remember anymore. I thought, didn't we already go through all these? 804 touchdowns?
We got through mine. I don't think we got through your receiver.
I think I said mine right after you said yours.
Maybe. You're right. You did. I was so stuck on the Joe Mixon conversation. We just moved on from it.
16 rushing touchdowns.
Won a game.
Won a game. See, that hurts me because I say won a game and then I'm like, well, that's possible. And then I'm like, is mine too low? So
No,
now
not.
we're both like trying to like go the other way with Lamar Jackson's rushing. It's
I'm going to get shit on for that take so bad. I know it.
going to be great.
Oh, God.
It's going to be wonderful.
Too bold. No, I'm
Hey,
joking.
we made it through the AFC North.
We hit the hills
Almost-
on that roller coaster. later
Almost
on.
unscathed. Almost unscathed. Freaking Joe Mixon.
Lamar Jackson, 16 touchdown. Joe Mixon, a disappointing running back.
Goodness. I'm just saying, if Nick Chubb and Joe Mixon have the seasons I think they're gonna have, I'm winning our dynasty league, like flat out.
They don't. You're going to have the same kind of season you had in our auction league.
Yeah.
We'll see. Anyway,
right.
this has been a long Friday night. You want to get us out of here?
Sure, I can push the button. I've got a button.
Where can
I
they find
forgot
us,
to hit
Ron?
I keep forgetting to hit the bell button when we get into arguments.
It's okay. You can use it on another one.
I'm using it right now. Okay. That was for the previous.
In this corner,
that was
Ron
for the Joe
defending
Mixon.
Mixon's honor. In the other corner, Joe shitting on Joe Mixon's honor.
Oh, man. All right.
Anyway,
All right. You can find us on our website, www.garbagetimef.com. Through there, you can find everywhere that we have our podcast listed: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast. We are on YouTube at Garbage Time Fantasy Football, Instagram at Garbage Time Fantasy Football, Simplecast, iHeart.
Yep, Ryan Show. Mention Ryan's show.
Oh, yes. Don't forget to go check out Garbage Time Presents the MMA podcast. The last episode, wasn't that the one with they had the guest?
They did.
They had a actual, I can't remember what he instructed, what type of martial arts that he did.
I don't remember either, and I'm going to let you continue.
Muay Thai. Muay Thai. He was a Muay Thai instructor, and they had him on.
Like a genius if you remember that, right?
I'm pretty sure I did, because I am a genius. Don't forget it. All right. What did I miss? I don't know. I'm hitting the button.
Oh, 6-point touchdown.
Now I hope Joe Mixon comes and gets 60 touchdowns.
I'm changing that next episode.